Now, coming this spring to Vita is an exclusive game called Monster Mon Piece.
Sounds like a cute little fun game, Damon. Why don't you tell me about it?
It was out in...
what the hell?
It's already out in Japan. It's been out in Japan for like a year.
Those characters are dressed a little racy, but I'm sure that's just...
I'm sure it's just the cover art to entice you in.
This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. This is rated lower than G compared to what's actually in the game. So the deal with this game is that it's a card battle game, but the cards are girls. They represent monster girls that you meet during your travels. It's also an RPG, and then you get their cards in your arsenal when you battle other people. And it
sounds like a lot of fun, Damon.
Yeah. So
you love card games. You're always playing that Magic.
So it's a Vita game. The Vita has a touchscreen, right?
Yes. This is confirmed.
Right. The cards level up. In order to level up the cards, you turn your Vita vertically, and then you get a big full-screen view of the card, and you rub your Vita. So you rub the image of the girl vigorously, basically until she levels up and some of her clothes pop off. And then I think the cards have 3 levels. Actually, I'll do the German one. They have 3 levels each card. And then they become increasingly, like the level 3 card is the most scantily clad.
Oh, okay.
This is the game that's been out in Japan for over a year. Monster Mon Piece coming out here in the spring in Europe and the US.
There you go.
Jeez Louise.
But the game,
there's just a lot
of. This is the part now.
Ridiculous jiggle.
The player is rubbing at this part.
Oh, goodness gracious!
Like, this is
You'll notice the bingo wings are not flapping in the same way.
The seal's just really impressed with the game. So, but the thing is that there's been some controversy about this because the game is actually being censored. Like this
when it comes out in America. Right?
This is the U.S. trailer.
Okay.
So this is what we'll get, but apparently there are 350 cards in the game. 40 of them have been censored, so we won't get the actual Japanese versions. 40 of those cards, when you level up to level 3, it'll just revert back to the level 1 art. So you're not going to see the level 3 art. It was deemed too racy for Western audiences.
You're really upset about this, aren't you, Dave?
I'm not upset about this. I'm just relaying the information.
You, buddy.
Damn, touchy much?
Pun intended. Some people were upset about this. Now, the audience for a game like this, which includes me, is pretty small.
Yeah.
Right? This game is not going to...
It's a niche market.
This game is not going to do gangbusters. But I think it's interesting that the publisher that's bringing this over decided to just go ahead and censor the game beforehand.
Who's the publisher?
I don't want to.
Put you on the spot.
I know. I cannot.
Isn't it more interesting that the publisher made this game in the first place?
I think it's Idea Factory. They're one of those publishers that bring over Japanese games.
I mean, we can talk about censorship, freedom of speech, but what jumps out to me about this is that the audience for this game is tiny, as Damon says. And they're the people that are going to be most upset about it being censored.
I mean, right?
They upset the only audience that's interested in the game to begin with. This game was never going to be a bestseller.
They're in a tough spot because it's like a game like that could, there was an issue with Dragon's Crown, right? When it came out.
Sorceress.
Yeah, there's sexual imagery in that, and then it becomes a thing.
It's not that it's sexual so much as it's just like obnoxious depictions of
gratuitous, chauvinistic,
So it's like,
I mean, like
they could just bring the game over as is, and then the audience that's into that will buy it and they like it, and that's done.
Right, but they did this, and I don't think the people who are excited for this game won't buy it now. Okay. But I do think we're talking about on GameScoop, which we wouldn't have before, unless it would have been released, and then somebody would have been super mad about it, and then
But it still has all the same. To Damon's point, it has all the same problems still. Thematically.
Yeah.
And it has a little bit less skin. It's just a stupid way to censor.
You still do the rubbing thing, that's still part of the game.
So speaking of stupid censorship, also Bravely Default, same way. In Bravely Default, which is coming out in a few weeks for DS, there is a bunch of characters with skimpy clothing. And they took that out, but it's funny because these characters are like
little chibi characters.
Yeah, they're chibi characters. They're not even like realistic or even big boob representations of characters. They're just a little bit more naked than usual, and so they clothed them a little bit, and then they changed the age of the characters in text from 15 to 17.
That's what strikes. That's what's really funny to me about Bravely Default is like if you only need to change their age up, then maybe you need to look more closely at your character models, which I know they changed those too, but And also, 17 is still not legal in America, so I don't know what's the difference. Why is 15 morally bad, but 17 we're like, it's fine. 17's fine.
Localization is a very strange thing.
I think in the case of Bravely Default, like that's a game with a lot of broad appeal that looks like it's going to be a massive hit.
Broad appeal.
Broad appeal. No pun intended. But that game, they want it to be another Final Fantasy. The game sounds like it's going to be great. We gave it a really positive review. They want that game to be a monstrous, broad hit. Hit with the broads is what I'm getting at. This game, Monster Monpiece, is not that. So that's the difference between...
Anymore.
That's why, for me, I understand Bravely Default's censorship, and I think Monster Monpiece's censorship is probably a mistake for them. I think they're frustrating and angering the only audience at that game.
Yeah, but if you, now it can go one of a couple ways where it can be if somebody's mad about the depiction of the females in the game, they'd be like, hey, we tried, we censored it to a degree we wanted to, or they can go the opposite route and we've heard the fan feedback and the 40 cards are back in the game. It's like,
you can rub their boobs again.
Rub them all.
Yeah, I mean the rubbing is still in there, so it's like I think people could still be offended by it, right? So it's like
100%.
Maybe it wasn't censored enough to avoid that. So then, like, what do they?
I mean, it's like basically throwing someone a bone, right? And the fact of like, well, the gameplay is still rubbing. Like, we can't do anything about that, but we can.
They said the gameplay isn't totally intact. They didn't change the gameplay. They're not, removing any part of the gameplay. They just took out some 40 pieces of artwork from the highest level cards.
I mean, I think the game's gross. I don't think I've made that explicitly clear yet. I think that's a gross idea. I don't like it. I don't want it. But like, I don't care that it exists. I'm not going to tell somebody what they can and can't publish and what they can and can't make. Like, make whatever you want, but like...
Well, that's what I wonder. Like, part of me thinks, I'm an adult. Can it just be up to me to decide whether or not this is appropriate for me? Like,
maybe it's just a really clever DLC strategy.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, now people are going to be really interested. I guarantee you, now people are going to be Googling these cards. What cards were left out of Monster Monpiece, right? Like, now that's a thing. They created a thing.
Sure. Like, I don't have a problem. Like, if this is someone's bag and they want to buy it and someone else wants to, build their business around making stuff like that, just own it. Just do it. Like, make that your business. Like, it's not for me. And if someone else wants to say, hey, here's why I'm offended by that, like, that's fine. I'm in favor of everybody. You can make the gross stuff you want to make, and someone else can talk about how they're offended by that, and everyone's allowed to do what they want is sort of the stance that I take.
This is always the tightrope we walk when we talk about Japanese games being imported, right? It is a different culture, and there is sex is treated so much differently over there.
Yeah.
It's not a real sentence.
So much differently.
It's very tired. It's been a long day. Please be excited for E3.
What did you see in Akihabara?
Dude, when you walk around there, I mean, like this game's like nothing. Like, it's just anime girls with big boobs everywhere. Like, that's what it is. It's just what it is. And you actually get desensitized to it really fast. My girlfriend and I were there, and there's, even she commented, just like, wow, we've seen a lot of boobs, and like, it doesn't even affect me anymore now. And like, just in a week, So it is totally different. The official comment from the publisher is that Western society is not as lenient as that of Japan when sexual images are involved, especially images of humanoids that appear to be younger than a socially acceptable age. So I think some of these cards are like, they look like really young naked girls.
Right, most
naked humanoids.
Humanoids, yeah.
Most humanoids drawn in the anime fashion look pretty young.
They say the borderline of what is acceptable will always be extremely gray and vary from person to person, but as a responsible company working in the U.S., we had to make the difficult decision that we did. I mean, they're in a tough spot.
Sure, so it sounds like they're trying to do the responsible thing and navigate that cultural line. Yeah, they're in a tight spot.
I like card
You could
battle.
be arrested for having pictures of immature humanoids here.
I actually really like card battle games, so I think it's better to get the game than not get it at all.
So they're not actually humans; they're monsters.
Well, yeah, monster girls.
So what if they were like 51% monster and only 49% human?
Then it's okay. Doesn't their age doesn't matter? Like,
so if it's like a wolf girl that has like ears but is still like a girl, then it's like no, that's really bad. That's a young girl. But what if she was like more a wolf?
Like with 6 boobs?
Yeah, I don't know. What if she had like
I always want them to bring that game, the DS game where you wipe the sweat off the men.
Dual Love.
I want that to come out.
I know, right?
See, that's what we're talking about. There's no even playing field. These games get imported, and it's just rubbing a girl, and we're all like, well, that seems like bring over the game where I rub a guy.
There was that game,
they were a little bit easier.
That's true.
Was it on Vita?
No,
this is all DS game.
Technical.
Original DS game.
No, but developers not supporting the Vita once again.
Anyway, Monster Monpiece is out this spring. I'm not sure if there's a release date yet, but that is a Vita exclusive.
Finally.
Check one on the board, huh?
So I hope stores are prepared.